I've published 3 books with Dos Madres. I'm going to read a couple of pieces from each of these books. The first one, called Reflections in a Smoking Mirror, Poems of Mexico and Belize, are just that, Poems of Mexico and Belize, contains a translation of the only Mayan eyewitness to the conquest in the Yucatan, named Nacupesh. But I'm going to read to you 2 poems from this. First is called Configurations of Conquest. They knew he was coming with his pale skin, black beard and robe. This Quetzalcoatl, banished long ago, knew he would return, and why? That he was irresistible and would arrive according to the prophecy by water from the east. They knew he hadn't come to devour the blood-sprinkled food of Tezcatlipoca, on whose lake called Smoking Mirror they built their cities. This one was not so easily satisfied. The signs were undeniable. Northern lights, volcanic eruptions that made the lake around them boil, a comet, an earthquake, Moctezuma's nerves, a quivering garden of snakes. His sister, Pampatzin, returned with visions of ruin after 4 days of death-like sleep. Never was so much knowledge of so little use as to proclaim a God where there was none, to allow 500 men to seize an empire of millions. Impossible to understand unless we measure it by what we know today about conquest and ourselves, that we covet the Milky Way as if it were Xochimilco, a floating garden, and beyond it that deep, devouring lake, as if we too would build on a great smoking mirror. If he had killed Cortez, left him rotting in the bush, Moctezuma feared the wind would stop and leave the world baking in the sun with nothing to cool it. But what of us? We know better. Cortez was not the wind.
Ubud Bali, 1997 also. Men like these. A scrap of greasy paper, flecked with rice, lies crumpled on the pavement in between them. Their meager midday meals been shared, its price sometimes a full day's labor, and the men lie still now, stretched out on their backs, content on this hard, dusty bed of bare cement. The shops abandoned, or perhaps just closed to beat the awful heat this time of day. The 2 lean, barefoot traveling salesmen doze, collapsed beside each other in its shade. Its porch, one sheet of warped and rusted tin, grants rude though peaceful shelter to these men who trudge for miles along scorched, rutted roads, their shoulders bent beneath preposterous loads. From blocks of ice to shackled ducks and roosters, from plastic children's toys to towering stacks of handmade wooden chairs or monstrous clusters of coconuts, from aphrodisiacs and cures for lice to popsicles and pencils and other less decipherable utensils. Now, a hierarchy of some sort does prevail. First, motored carts whose musical refrains, mechanically rigged, solicit sales. Then cyclists with horns or bells to gain attention more abruptly for their wares. Next, those who hitchhike around to village fairs and markets, and on down to men like these, who only walk, slow, steady, silently. Beneath that porch, whose shadow almost hides them, they sleep now in their quiet, concrete pasture. Yet burdens laid down casually beside them seem far more restless than their restful masters. 2 bamboo barbells, balanced at both ends with dangling fruits of singular transparency. Strange artificial fruits, These prove to be bouquets of plastic bags filled up with water, then knotted and suspended carefully like ripe grapes or trussed animals for slaughter. They're drinking water salesmen, one decides, until a flash of orange sparks provides swift proof that circling endlessly within each liquid satchel, 3 bright goldfish swim.